I'm in Max.
You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast.
I'm in Max.
Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon. Why, hello.
Hello.
And welcome to my mic on? Check 1, 2. Yeah, it is. And welcome to season 25, episode 19? 19 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
I'm Pooja.
And Tappy might be here, or he might not.
Yeah, we'll see.
We don't know. In this episode of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, Jonas asks, how do you handle a player who can't handle PC death? Nicholas asks, what is the right amount of backstory? And Greg in Virginia asks a question about the show. But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We're on the social medias. HappyJacksRPG, all one word. On Twitter, and Instagram, and Facebook, and MeWe, which I went on today.
Oh,
First time in December.
a long time.
And we have a forum.
Yes.
HappyJacksForum.com. That's HappyJacksForum.com. If you'd like to watch the show live, you can watch the show at 7:15 p.m. at Pacific time on every Friday at happyjacks.org/live.
Yes.
And make the thing about reviews.
Reviews, yes. So it's a very important time of year for people who do podcasts and streams and things like that. People get new devices and they go out in search of content to consume. And your reviews on whatever podcatcher you use are hugely helpful. Or reviews on and interactions on YouTube and things like that. So if you are consuming our content and you like it, please leave us a good review. Hopefully more than 1 star. Like 5 stars is good. And yeah.
I mean, 4 stars is okay, I guess.
I feel
But
like we
really,
can do
5
better.
stars,
Yeah, the
like-
best.
We love you.
Yeah. And remember that we have 3 feeds. So if you listen to our APs, if you listen to our one-shots, those both have their own feeds too. So if you leave a review for the advice show, which is this show, and which is great, and you also consume that other content, make sure you go and leave reviews for those feeds as well if you're listening to podcasts, because they are completely separate. So a good review for the advice show does not actually help out the APs.
And if you are finding this lovely podcast on your new device post holiday season, and you're like, what? You have APs too?
Yes.
Go check out those
Check
feeds.
them out. Yes.
You can just search Happy Jack's RPG and you'll find all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Boom, right there.
Right there. It's amazing.
All right. Is there anything else?
No.
Oh, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas, those who celebrate.
Happy
and also,
Hanukkah.
And
Kwanzaa.
And Happy New Year.
And
Life Day.
Festivus.
Life Day. Festivus, yes.
I mean, there's been a lot of airing of grievances, I'm just saying.
I'm going to do a Facebook search on that whole thing.
Oh my God. It's a whole different thing on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
It's like, because all the racists are there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Great.
There's drama.
So
There
much
is.
drama.
Finished Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Won't say anything about it.
Good, yeah.
Good ending.
Yeah.
Really good ending.
But be very careful because all our friends in other countries, it hasn't even aired at all in a lot of countries.
Well, that's like season 8 of Letterkenny.
Yeah.
Had to wait a day and a half. I'm like, come on.
Oh,
No,
whole
a day and a half. All the people who are like
36
waiting.
But I'm like,
hours.
9 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah.
Boom. I almost got through the whole thing, but I had to go to sleep.
Dear listeners, we realize he's an asshole. We get it. We know. We feel your pain.
Something else. I guess.
Okay.
All right. Handling a player who can't handle PC death.
Oh, no, we have one more thing.
Oh, yeah, go.
We are doing Rainbow Railroading again this year.
Yay.
So January 24th and 25th, we're starting on Friday at 7 p.m. We're starting with the advice show, just like this, except on time.
And if my tuxedo, if I can find it, I will wear it.
Yes.
Yay.
And I'll wear my fancy thing like I did last year. So we'll start with a 1-hour advice show, and then we'll go into 4-hour games for the continuation of the 24 hours, the 23 hours after that. Straight through, we're raising money for the Rainbow Railroad again, which is a fantastic charity organization with a great reputation that helps LGBTQ plus people from other countries when they're in countries that they face discrimination, especially governmental oppression.
A lot worse than discrimination.
Yeah. But like actual, like their government makes laws against their existence and things like that. They work to get people safely out of those situations. So they're a fantastic charity. We did a thing for them a little over a year ago. We can't quite say it's annual because it's like an annual plus 2
Semi-annual?
months.
Because it was in
Semi-annual?
December of 2017.
Is it? Yeah, no, like November.
28.
Yeah, so it's like annual plus 2 months.
Right.
But we wanted to make sure we had enough time leading up to it. So check out that.
2018. It wasn't 2017. It was 2018.
It's 2018.
2018,
Yes.
yeah. So it's a little over a year ago. But we're doing that again. It's fantastic. We're working with them right now to get it all set up. We're getting a bunch of prizes and things like that. So put that on your calendar. Last time, I remember most of it. It was very fun. I was
Right.
very tired. I was very tired.
I don't actually remember my section of it, but I kept coming back, so it must have been fun.
So anyway, so check that out, and we'll have a URL and images and stuff up as soon as we have the charity page and stuff all set up.
Yep. All right.
They say you have to be louder.
I just turned my mic up a little.
Okay.
I saw that in the chat. Thank you, chat room, for letting me know I was not speaking loud enough. But I was speaking fine. It was the microphone.
Go, blame the microphone.
I am
why
blaming
don't
the
you?
microphone. I don't know why. I may have to get bored. It's getting a little ginchy.
Ooh,
Hi. Handling a player. See, now it seems like I sound too loud.
you're not.
You're fine.
Handling a player who can't handle PC death. From Jonas Larson. Greetings, Happy Jacks. I
Is
have
it
returned.
Jonas or is it Jonas?
I have no idea. Send us a pronunciation guide to your name.
Hopefully it'll go better than Derek's.
It's been a while. He's going to be like, finally, somebody says my name right.
Well, apparently we misidentified him anyway.
Yeah, we did.
I'll
Yeah,
get
go
to that.
ahead. Yeah.
I return from the nowadays lukewarm clutches of Scandinavia. What? With a question and an amendment. I shouldn't say it's been cold here, but it has been cold here. We had a lot of snow. You see the mountains?
Yeah,
How
my
low
mom,
the snow
my mom
is?
actually sent me a text like yesterday when I was in the airport. She's like, "There's a bunch of snow around Los Angeles now. Are you going to be able to get home?" And I was like, "Yes, that's not how it works in the valley."
Yeah.
You have to drive hours to get to snow.
Yeah.
But
Unless you
the
live in
5
the-
was closed by Castaic, so not
So
quite
was
hours.
the other one too. The one going up by
Grapevine?
the one over in the east in San Bernardino.
Oh, yeah,
goes
yeah.
up the 210.
Yeah.
They were both snowed in.
And then I wore tank top today. It's fine.
It was cold all day.
It's like
For-
in the 60s.
I was wearing a t-shirt.
I don't know. I was chilly, but then again, it was 73 in Baton Rouge during the holidays, so like whatever.
Whatever. It happens.
All right. This is Clutch of Scandinavia with a question and an amendment. In episode 2507, I sent you a truly fascinating letter. It was a humble jape about how to make RPG small talk and my best letter to date. But you credited it to fellow Scandinavian wordmonger, Uncommon Man. I'm
How
sorry.
dare you? How dare you?
We're blaming Stu for that one.
Of
he
course
types
it was
up the copy.
It was me.
Yeah.
It was me. The only
100%.
And I think he may have even emailed us about the fact.
Yeah.
Uncommon
is
Man
not
may have
him.
also
He's
sent
like,
us an email.
This is a great letter. I didn't write it.
My wife now thinks I'm a charlatan who just lies about his accomplishments.
Oh.
What is this? Oh, I must have hit a button.
Okay.
Sorry.
And my kids-
lies about my accomplishments, and my kids tell me that I've started to get gray hairs.
Aw.
Please, Happy Jacks, tell the world that I wrote that letter and that Daddy can get a wig. You're my only hope.
I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
you wrote that letter.
So you may have written that letter, but really, like, there are many, many great, not entirely expensive hair dye products for men if you have that much of a problem with your gray hair. Like, maybe look for one of those prior to investing in a good wig, which is not cheap.
No, those are expensive.
Or give up on hair.
Just shave your head. That's Stu's advice.
It is my
Expert in hair
advice.
care over here.
Or embrace your grays and go the way of, like, iconic, wonderful older gentlemen like Idris Elba.
Oh yeah.
I'm just
Silver
saying.
fox. It's a thing.
Sexiest man alive.
What's his name? Steve Martin. He had gray hair from the 80s on, I think.
He
didn't
was not sexy.
No, but he was funny. And he plays banjo like a motherfucker. very jealous of that. Banjo's hard. It's a very hard instrument. I don't think people realize how hard banjo is.
Yeah.
Now, when we clarified things for future Happy Jacks historians, let me get back to my question. What is the best way to handle a player that has a hard time coping with character deaths? I have a large pool of players, and the player in question is one that I have known very well for a long time and play with in a lot of different groups. Let's call him Douglas.
All right.
Douglas is
Douglas.
Douglas is his last name Adams. Douglas is not a problem player. Quite the opposite. He's creative and funny, but he can't handle character death well. He really feels it. Not in the good catharsis way, but in the bad way.
Yeah.
Douglas suffers from bad self-esteem and has struggled with bouts of clinical depression. I'm, of course, worried that I'm overreading things, but it looks to me like Douglas stops enjoying the game when his characters die and stays distressed for several days afterwards. I've talked to Douglas about it, but he doesn't share my worldview on this matter, either because he's too deep into it or hopefully because I'm totally wrong. But what's the best way to handle this if I'm right? I guess it's just to not kill Douglas's characters. But as I said, he's a good role player, and good role players don't shy away from danger. It will be weird to say Cthulhu eats everyone except Douglas, who lives happily ever after all the time. Sorry for not writing more often. Your longtime fan, Jonas Larson.
I mean, why would you write when we give you when we give credit away to other people?
Well, thank you, Uncommon Man, for the email.
Aww.
Thank you, Jonas. Yes, we
Thank
love you.
you.
And we appreciate it. And you should write more, but you're busy. We know.
You have to,
Yeah.
convince your children and your wife that you're still worth keeping around. I get it.
We'll vouch for you. It's fine. So okay, this is something I really struggle with in my life because I am someone who likes to second guess people's emotions and worry about them. And I do that a lot.
Sound like my mom.
I know, it's a thing. And yeah, I get it from my mom. It's a thing that is generational in my family. And it's something I work on a lot, especially with my GMing, listen to people when they tell you something. And if he's saying it's not a problem, I know it's hard, but listen and be like, I believe what you're saying, even if in your heart you think he's a liar. That is my advice that my therapist has helped me come to in the last year. But yeah, if you've done your GM duty, you've done your duty as a friend, you've gone and you've checked with him and hey, how do you feel about this? And he's like, it's fine. It is not your job to micromanage his emotions if he's telling you that it's fine.
And that if it's not resulting in acting out at the table, which it sounds like it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
He's not a problem player. He's awesome. He's creative. He's fun. He's still doing stuff that leads his characters to death, apparently.
Yeah.
So believe your friends when they tell you things, even if you think they're lying, unless obviously the caveats of if you think they're hurting themselves. But Douglas is not hurting himself. He might be hurting his characters, but yeah. Even if you are right, and he's really taking it super hard, it sounds like he stops enjoying the game for a couple of days, a few days, maybe just until he gets into his new character. Is it just man, I had so much stuff planned for this other one, and he's gonna grieve in his own way about the death of all the stories he wish he could have told, until he gets into it and makes his new character and gets as much into that? Because that just seems normal to me. Lord knows I've seen some people be freaking salty about character deaths, and it has gone super poorly at the table afterwards. But this sounds like dude just feels how he feels.
Yeah. Unless you left that part out. And especially your example was Cthulhu. Everyone who sits down to play Cthulhu should be prepared to die or just horrible things. Horrible.
But it can make you feel all the things.
It can. It does.
I would want to ask a question, and that is, how does the deaths of other characters besides his affect him?
Oh, that's a good question.
And if they don't, then I know you're saying this guy's not a problem player, but I would start to wonder if maybe he just doesn't like losing, and he sees character death as losing, and he gets frustrated or whatever with it.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's as much a feeling of loss or a feeling of defeat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's a difference. There's a difference.
Or of just personal failure.
Right.
It can feel like, man, I effed up so bad.
Yeah.
And, like, now my character is dead. And, like, that's kind of a punishment feeling that you put on yourself because it's role-playing.
Right.
And
And
But-
he might be feeling that and aware that he's feeling these negative things and not wanting to put it on you. Because it's, as a GM, it's your job to kind of manage the game. And if he's feeling like, oh, you're doing, this was fair, but he still feels bad about it, he may be trying to just manage his own emotions and, like, and he may realize that he has, struggles with that. And just, like, know that, okay, this isn't on you. I'm not going to ask the GM to do special things for me because I get upset, because I know I get upset.
yeah.
Right.
Which is like handling shit as an adult.
Yeah.
Heaven fucking forbid we do that.
It's like when I had the character in Bill's Star Wars Traveler game, Rash Xanax. I was bummed when he got killed. He got killed good. I mean, it was it was a tactical failure on my part because I went in front of a window we couldn't see through. And I'm like, why am I standing here in front of a window I can't see through? And the people on the other side are like, boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, my character's dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I really like that character because I mean, and it's Traveler too. It's not like I can build a character I exactly want. It's just I happen to luck out and get a cool concept for a character that I really wanted to have because he is an ex-stormtrooper.
Yeah.
But
no,
and
I
he
love this.
had since then learned to shoot.
But just not learn where to stand.
No, but the thing, I mean, I don't think this is your problem as the
he's
GM.
as the GM,
think
but
this
as a
is the-
caring friend,
Yeah,
like because that sounds more what it is. It's not like he seems like my friend has depression. I'm concerned about that part of it more than like
Right.
I did the thing and he's upset. Like there's
Right.
a little bit of a difference there between like a GM and like a friend line.
Yeah, I
it's
get
hard.
but I mean, I personally think probably the best way to sort of avoid those sort of emotional dips of having a character die is to have a character already set up and ready that you are more interested in playing than the one you're actually currently playing.
That's a great
Especially
idea.
for, like, in our Cthulhu game, like, straight up at the beginning, Stu was like, you'll probably want to have a backup character
Yeah.
concept ready to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't do that, but, like, that was the advice we were given.
Yeah.
But something like that, if, based on the clues in your email that you are running a Cthulhu game, having backup characters so people are just as invested in the second string as they are in the first string. Or you could play games where people are a little less likely to die. I mean, if this is something that you really want to pursue with your group.
I don't know if they have games like that in Scandinavia. Every game they have there is super dark.
Or super light depending on the time of year.
Right.
Or if you're concerned about him as a friend and you feel like it's possible that his mental health struggles are being exacerbated by what's happening at the table, just be there for him as a friend.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to trying to, like, reorganize the game or you're GMing to pad him from stuff. Just be like, hey, you seem super bummed. Do you want to get a drink? Do you want to go out? Like, I'm here for you if you want to talk.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, that's still up to him, but he knows that you're there for him.
Yeah.
Because that can mean a lot to somebody who, like, as I do, and suffer from depression and just...
Sorry, that one's broken. Can you hear her?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You're fine.
yeah, this one's a weird one that, like, the green is, like, all the way down inside of it.
Sorry, there's a mute button that's weird and it freaked me out. Sorry, continue.
But like, I suffer from depression, and sometimes, like, I just can't. I'm not going to be able to, like, actually, I just need to function through it or, like, work through it on my own. But knowing that people are there for me, if I reach the point where I can talk to somebody, makes a big difference.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe even have like a standing post-game hangout arrangement where like you all go to I don't know if you have Denny's, but a crappy diner.
When you go to the Waffle House, always order your hash brown smothered. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. But I
But
like
have
that.
something like
Yeah.
just a standing thing that you all go and just have a kind of. I mean, there's a lot of conversations happen in my backyard when games,
Absolutely.
especially intense games, have happened, and people sit and talk about it and
Hour or
decompress.
two.
Yeah,
There's been times where we sat and talked about the game almost as long as we played the session
Right.
because it was so intense or something, and it really helps, like with that mental health, because like these games you do get emotionally involved in, even
Yep.
if we know it's a game. Like, and there's been times where like I've had characters die and it was like super hard, but like talking about it and like, oh, that was so cool when your character did this, like almost like, I don't know, Hall of Faming your moments of this character
Right.
with your friends, like really makes it like, okay, I feel better about.
it's like having a wake.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly what it is. Like, have a drink and talk about how cool this
So the Irish
person you
kind
made
of
was.
was.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, that's a great way of putting it. You kind of have to have, like, you kind of have to mourn for it, and like, and I don't want to like minimize wakes for like real people, but like you do get emotionally invested, and so do other people in the game and these characters.
Sure.
And when they die, especially unexpectedly or in ways that, like you were saying, like walking in front of a window you couldn't see through, like
Shit happens.
Yeah, decompressing
when you're not
is
paying
a big
attention.
is a big part of it. Yeah. So yeah, even if like the whole group isn't, like you just offering to be there for him is probably a huge and great
you.
idea. A big thing for them.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you,
you.
Uncommon Man.
No. Jonas Larson. That was
Jonas
a very-
Larson.
Or
Thank you,
Jonas
Jonas.
Larson, if we suck at
Jonas,
pronouncing
yeah.
Is
it.
it Jonas or Jonas? Have we been pronouncing it wrong this whole time, and you've
It's
never?
probably me, but like I just like to leave the option open.
Oh, Master Vider.
That's why he picked that
I know.
username.
Specifically because I've been told that I have not been enunciating that name right for a very long time, and everyone thinks it's hilarious, and nobody told me.
Mariner.
Says that you could actually have an in-game funeral or wake, and I think that's a really great idea.
That's what they did
That's
for Brash
awesome.
Xanax.
yeah. So like, have the other character and especially if you did the thing where like the player already has another character there, and that's a great introduction for a new character into a campaign. Like they came to that funeral or wake, and that's how they get to know the rest of the party or whatever. That's a really great in that kind of smooths it through.
There's character ties could exist right there. You could build them right at that moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a
so
really
that's great for
idea.
both of you.
Yeah.
It's like
Very good one.
unless that just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Right, that's true.
Like no one wants sobbing at the table.
Check with them first, yeah, before you pull like emotional things like that. Be like, hey, I think I want to do this. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jonas Larson.
Yes.
For the email. We appreciate it. And next.
To Jonas's wife, he's really great at writing in emails, and we appreciate him.
And I
Oh,
guess
so
he's
he's-
great in the sack.
Gray hair could make it more sexy as Jonas's children. Wait, no.
A little bit of
That's
salt,
not- that's
a little
not the
bit of
right
salt and
message.
pepper, man. Okay.
To Jonas's children, the gray hair gives him more authority.
Yeah.
So you should listen to him more.
Yes. And get good grades. All right. What is the right amount of backstory from Nicholas? Ah, dang it. Hala Snob Fraga. I think that says
There
hello. Something.
There are like
That's from,
weird, like little symbols above
Yeah.
the A's. What are those supposed to be?
I
mean,
don't
there's
remember where
circles,
Nicholas is
but-
from. He
but I
doesn't
don't
say
know
in
what
this
they-
email. I don't
Nope.
remember where he's
He's
from.
from
Nah.
another place, and I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly. But when making a new character to join a band of experienced adventurers, should the new character have a backstory so epic as to equal those he now joins? Or should the epic adventures only be told as the shared story moves on? How can they otherwise truly be equal? That is a very, very good question, Nicholas. And there's no signing or postscript. It was such a great question. He just wanted to end it there.
Unless I cut it off.
Which you might.
I do fuck up sometimes.
Yeah. Really?
Yes, I do. Quite a bit. More than you know, actually. 'Cause a lot of things I fix.
now I'm worried.
I feel like he's from Scandinavia, and so does Heavy Metal Jess in the chat room. It's that was my first. It seems like a Scandinavian.
Little circles
Well,
seem like
yeah.
they're from the northern regions.
Yes.
Season 20, episode 12, he wrote in a letter, and I put in Nicholas from Stockholm.
Stockholm. Okay, there we go. Well, thank you, Nicholas,
What country
from
is that?
Stockholm. So this is Stockholmian.
Norway.
I think that's a great question. I think
I don't know where Stockholm is. I've heard of it. There's a whole fucking
You have a
syndrome named
syndrome.
after it. I don't know where it is.
Stockholm, Sweden. I'm kept breaking out my phone, and yes, I
I'm
realize
ready.
everyone's going to be like,
I'm going to start in on this question.
Strategy.
Because I'm just going to let Stu do his Googling and shake my head.
the capital of
Oh,
fucking
it's Sweden. It's Sweden.
I'm shaking
Sweden.
my head and teacher at both of you.
I'm just saying,
You
the
didn't
geography
say it was from
always my
Sweden
worst
either,
subject.
did you?
No, I was laughing at you.
At least I got it right the second time.
Oh, look at all those fjords.
Yeah, okay. So, I think...
You are on a Douglas Adams kick today.
Yeah, please. Yeah, the entire chat room screaming at you.
So
didn't remember.
I would say that, like, if you want to come up with some massive, amazing backstory that's like out of this world, have fun, do what you want with your backstory, but don't like expect it to all come to the fore right away when you join a new group.
Yeah.
Because they have a story that they're already like doing, and maybe integrated into that, and then your epic backstory comes out in pieces over the course of the adventures, just like everybody else's backstory does when we're playing a campaign from the start.
Right. I mean, I'm assuming you're not being a complete douchebag and making this person start at first level and everyone else is like 9th or 10th
Right.
level, because managing
That's
that kind of a
awful.
campaign is
Like-
a horrible idea.
GMCD that can go fuck themselves.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not fun.
So it makes
Happy
sense that
holidays.
if they have reached a certain level of prowess, that they have done something in the past that might have been noticed.
Yeah.
So, I would say.
Yeah.
And if you can tie it in with the backstory of the other characters,
Even better.
so much the better.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, I never put restrictions on people with backstories. I don't think I do. I don't really ever have. But no one goes crazy though.
We used to. We used to go much more crazy than we do now. I think because we've
Well,
learned...
yeah, and word length.
Yeah. But I also think, but you're saying, don't show up that first session with this character and be like, hello, I am Joe the Bard, the greatest of all bards. I've been, and, then recount your tales, because nobody wants to sit there through that, unless it's, your character, and then, there's the shtick of people cutting you off all the time, or something amazing like that, like
Right.
Stork sometimes still pulls off.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah. if you're pulling off the dandelion thing from Witcher, that's fantastic. But I don't remember what they call him in the show. He has a different name in the show, but that's his name in the
in the show
books. It's good. You should see it. Henry Cavill is very sexy with swords. It's very good.
I have to rewatch season 8 of Letterkenny first.
Okay.
Because I've only seen it once so far.
That's fine.
Yes, but you've never seen The Witcher.
That's true, but it's only 7 episodes.
He has almost as many muscles as Wade. Almost.
So close.
Wade has the thickest neck of any actor I've ever seen.
Especially when he wears turtlenecks. It's the best. Sorry.
Lose a lot of heat in the
That's
neck.
it's a very, off-topic conversation. But,
Very on topic.
yeah, I feel like it's also like I tend to not write backstories when I have a new character entering in. We recently had Dave jump in as a new character in the middle of our Call of Cthulhu game, and he had an outline for a pretty thorough backstory, but he hadn't written it out like a novel, and he kind of filled things in as we went. At one point you asked him what his family's name was, and he's like, and he came up with it on the spot.
Right.
So I feel like that's I mean, unless you are fine with writing that novel and not having anybody ever know all that information, some people are. I've done that, especially.
Stu.
Yeah, Stu. If you write entire sectors of the galaxy that nobody even bothers to visit.
So much
Merchants
stuff.
guilds that
Yeah.
we never meet.
Yeah, but he's going to write a book about it, so then you can read it, so it'll be worth it.
150 pages. I hit the 150 page mark
Yeah.
last night.
So just allow it to weave in naturally if you're going to do that.
or make it a bit.
Or
It's like-
if you...
Well, yeah.
The hero of such and such.
Yeah. Or if
Every
have
time you walk
something-
in a room, your whole titles thing. Sorry.
No. It's just that, if you have something that you think would be cool that reflects on the story that your party has been going on, that might tie in later, and you clue the GM into that, and they weave it in later. That's fun too.
Yeah.
It's just don't expect a whole exposition dump
Right.
when your character shows up that lasts the entire session.
Yeah.
that's when no one wants to hear it.
Yeah.
Albert
oh.
Evans?
Yeah.
Albert E. Evans, maybe? Too many level 1 characters come in with a backstories that sound like the memoirs of a retired hero.
True.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
And that is weird.
Yeah.
Because there is no great mage who's fought many wars who only knows magic missile. Not
Yeah.
yet.
So, like, write appropriate length and appropriate bios or backstories for your character. If you're coming in and it's like a level 5 campaign, like, it shouldn't be this great epic tale. Like, okay, like, you've done some shit, but, like, I don't know, level 5.
I think wizards can have level. They can have fireball at that level. They
Or
can
you
turn
do
the
shit
courts of
that's
wars.
like, if you do shit and you effed it up real bad, so maybe you are at a higher level because you did not succeed.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like if you were a wizard and you just trained really hard in, like, a wizard's college, which is, like, the most overdone trope ever, like, I feel like you could get to level 5 spells.
Or
If
you
just
stole a
practice.
bunch of books from, like, another wizard.
Yeah. So I
Or
feel
he happened to die on your property.
Legitimate salvage.
So I feel like you can get to level 5 abilities without some great backstory. Like,
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine if you really want to. But yeah, just layer it in appropriately. Show up at a funeral for your previous character and talk about how great they were.
Yeah,
And
level 5, you may have killed a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you're a new person to the whole campaign, find out a little bit about what the group has already been doing. And then figure out, like, I mean, we're so heavy into this, but I love it so much. Like, the relationship bonds that you have with some of those characters that might already be established, and doesn't have to be with everybody, but if you have ties to 1 or 2 people already, then you've already got, like, a baseline to go into. And maybe, like, you were part of one of their old adventures. Like, you know, it's like that thing from John Wick 1 to John Wick 2. It's like,
Yeah.
he did that thing with a pencil. Except in John Wick 2, you find out it wasn't just a pencil.
Ah.
It's that, you know, it's like a little, like another layer to somebody's story.
I never saw John Wick 2.
You should.
So the first one.
Yeah.
Don't.
I never saw John Wick 3, so we should have just a viewing party.
I saw John Wick 3 before
How
I saw
many
John Wick 2 because there were horses in it and people insisted that I see
Oh.
the horses part.
No horses were injured in the making of John Wick 3.
No.
That's the important part here.
They were used to great effect to hurt people, though. It was amazing. I was like, wow. Yeah, I had a thought, and then I think I lost it. Oh, yeah, I think kind of circling back, Stu at one point said tie it in with the party, and Pooch was just saying that. I think, honestly, that is a better investment of time than writing a great backstory that's completely solo. So if you can find, like, maybe, like, find out about the characters in the party. If one of them fought in a war, maybe you fought in that war too, just as a soldier, but you were with that other person. And then that just helps. It helps build that trust. You don't have to do the awkward, well, the new guy, like, do we trust him? Do we not? I mean, some people love role-playing that, but I feel like after, like, you've done it, like, 8 times, you're like, okay, new guy who we inevitably will trust because we're players at a table.
Because he has a PC aura.
Yeah, exactly.
Or y'all both fought in that war, but you may have been on separate sides, but you were taken prisoner of war,
Yeah.
and then you ended up in this great epic love story.
Yeah.
And then you, like, were separated, though, because you were on opposite sides of the war.
Yeah.
But really,
Very
you had
good.
the, like, common heart.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I feel that's fantastic. I want to write that character with you now. Our next campaign, we're going to be like, we were in a war, Stu, and you're going to be like, oh,
We're on
God.
opposite sides.
We're on opposite sides.
the Capulets and the... Who are they? The other people.
Montagues.
Montagues.
Okay. I'm shaking my head at you and teacher again. Sweden!
You don't teach Shakespeare, do you?
No, not in 4th grade. I have. I've taught it before.
That would cause so many dropouts.
Oh, yeah. When I taught 7th grade, we learned that. So,
I don't think we learned it. I don't think we did Shakespeare in 7th grade when I was in school. I don't think we got it until high school.
yeah. It's not required, but I did some.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's fun.
I mean, you could do some, and they do, like, all the, like, fun children versions of, like, especially Romeo and Juliet has, like, I'm pretty sure there's a Muppet version of that now.
It's the best because you teach Romeo and Juliet when they're at that age. They're like 13-ish. And that's the age Romeo and Juliet really are in the play.
Right.
And it gives them this whole new look at it. You're like, these kids are your age, and they're like, oh my god, they're dumb. Oh my god, it's
the
so
best.
good. Yeah.
Well,
Also, like, there's the Tristan and his old. Like, there was a cartoon of that. I watched it around the same time I watched Princess Bride for the first time.
Yeah. They can totally get it.
My son was in the Susification of Romeo and Juliet, and it's the story of Romeo and Juliet. They've taken out the suicide,
Yeah.
but it's all in Dr. Seuss rhyme.
Yeah.
How do they die, though?
They don't.
They don't. It has a happy ending.
It has a happy ending.
It's Dr. Seuss version.
It's in Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss doesn't deal with things like that.
So does no one die?
No one dies in it. No. Mm-mm. They think they do, but they don't. And they wake up and they have a party.
Oh, that makes much more sense.
Yeah, it's a nice, heartwarming story.
Yeah.
My son played Monk Larry,
Larry.
which is Friar Lawrence.
Yeah. That's super confusing when you first told me. He's like, he's in Romeo and Juliet. He's Friar Larry. I'm like,
Monk Larry.
oh, Monk
He's
Larry.
Monk Larry.
Yeah, I'm like, that is not a part in Romeo. What have you done?
What have you done?
Yeah. But I looked at like some of the lines, like Googled. It's actually pretty well done the way they
it
redid
is.
it.
It's
all
really
still
funny.
in poetry and stuff. You're like, oh,
Well, Dr. Seuss is all like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's poetry.
yeah.
Yep.
I want the, like, where the sidewalk ends version of like, Hamlet. I feel like that would lend itself well.
I don't think.
Charles Silverstein would be a fan.
I don't know. Maybe. Oh no, he has a dark side.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why
Right.
that Giving Tree is not like.
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah,
that's very upsetting.
it's so upsetting.
Yeah. Cry. Makes me cry.
A question about the show from Greg in Virginia.
All right.
Dear all you magnificent goofballs.
Do you know where Virginia is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in America. I
South
know, of course, I know where
South of the
Virginia
Mason
is.
Dixon.
That's right.
All right. Continue.
I was listening to episode 12, season 25 of your advice show,
Ah.
and I zoned out. Thanks.
Thanks.
As I started wondering, just how did you decide that each season was going to be 20 episodes? I'm sorry, you were listening to episode 12, season 25, and you wondered how we decided that each season was going to be 20 episodes.
Yeah, it's accurate. Actually, he's right.
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
Kind
Continue.
of. Okay,
And
Not
then,
moving
quite-
right
not
along.
entirely accurate.
No.
Moving right along, math is difficult.
Yeah.
That's roughly 2 seasons per calendar year, but it seems like such an arbitrary number.
Yeah.
Why divide it up into seasons at all? Can't you start with episode 1 and just count up from there? I feel like you're giving us a lot of credit there. Have you reached 1,000 episodes yet?
Yeah.
And will your enormous backlog always be available? Idle minds want to know. At least this one does. Greg in Virginia. No one wants us to drink. Apparently we've been drinking too much in previous
Yes.
episodes.
No more.
Originally, they were 25
Lies.
episodes per season, like the first 2 seasons, and then I forgot that I had established them at 25, and it became 20.
Just about everything can be credited to Stu forgetting something
That's what happens
or
when
just
you're
getting
old.
mixed up.
Mostly,
Yeah.
yes. Now, the reason we did seasons, because I never intended to do more than one.
Wow. Really?
Yep.
Oh.
Whoa!
We'd do one season, okay, that's it for the season, then take a few months of break and decide whether or not we wanted to do a second season. That was originally why
So
I did
really, you did seasons because originally you thought about breaks.
breaks or just stop
Or
it.
never doing it again.
Right, because
But,
no one
like,
can bug you if you finished a season.
I mean, people can bug you.
Oh, yeah, but
Or you have a good
anything, as
out.
we-
You're like, I finished the season.
you got the season.
Yeah.
So if you ever wanted to take a break, you could.
Yeah.
Well, at
didn't
least
know
it designated.
Yeah.
It designated points, yes. That is why. That's why I did it in seasons. And a lot of people gave me shit for putting it in seasons. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll do 20 or 25 episodes, 25 at a time. And then when we get to the end of it, which was, I think, coincided around the end with the end of the year, because it started in July.
No, we started in August.
Well, episode 0 was July. It was like the day after my birthday. It was like
yeah.
July 22nd
Yeah.
or something. And then, so it was near the end of the year. It might have gone into January a little bit.
Yeah.
But I figured, meh. And then
So
it'll
that-
do it. There can't be that much to talk about role-playing games. That's what I thought. There can't be that much to talk about. We'll have covered
amazing.
every topic.
I've never heard this story. This is
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. Because I remember early on we didn't get a lot of emails either, so I'm
No, that's
constantly
true.
racking my brain trying to come up with
We had to come up with the topics for every episode.
And I intentionally wouldn't listen to other role-playing game podcasts because I didn't want to get accused of stealing someone else's topics. So I
Yes.
just didn't listen to them during that, especially during
very
that first.
specific about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why.
Have we hit the
amazing.
1,000 episode mark?
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Long time ago.
well, that was the thing, is like we're in season 25, episode 19,
Mm-hmm.
and if every season,
I
like
assume so.
even with 25 seasons, 20 episodes apiece, that's 500 episodes.
Oh, maybe we had a 500 episode. Do we have a 500
So,
episode?
like, if
no,
we had
did
25 for a while,
We did 3 million downloads. So we had like a giveaway at 3 million downloads.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't think we've hit 1,000 episodes.
because even if you had 25 episodes in each of the 25 seasons, that would only be 625 episodes.
yeah.
Oh.
So says my calculator, because math is hard.
I think I sat down and figured. I want to say we had a 500th episode
Maybe.
thing.
I mean, it makes
Or
sense.
maybe I'm thinking of no, it wouldn't have been 100. We wouldn't have done it.
No, you wouldn't remember it.
Well, it would have been like what 5, somewhere
It would have been
middle
in
of
season
season
4 or 5, yeah. somewhere there.
Season,
because it was 25. I think the first 2 seasons had 25 episodes, and then I went to 20. I
Yeah.
think.
except apparently season 12, because
Yeah.
there was 25 episodes in season 12.
Are there actually 20? Well, there's 25 files, or there 25
According
numbered?
to this email,
Mm-hmm.
he was listening to episode 12, season 25.
Yeah.
My bad.
Season-
I
yeah.
misread that.
But, I mean, if you count all the APs, we might be up to 1,000. But that's
Probably
all
way more.
We did count
That
the
doesn't-
the APs counted in the 3 million downloads.
Right.
Because our podcast thing just gives us an overall number, but
All right.
all right.
So there you go.
Yeah,
That's,
not yet.
That's the
10 more years
dumb
and we'll
reason
get
why
there.
we use
Oh,
seasons.
God.
We're just-
There's no way we'll be doing this for another 10 years.
Right.
There's
It's
Just
no way.
depressing.
I mean, that's what you.
We're
I
going to
mean,
run out of topics.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
there's going to be a whole new bunch of role playing games that come out and with a whole new set of problems.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
Whole new things.
I
Look at
mean,
all the
there
questions-
will always be people who need advice.
Yeah.
The question is, are they going to want our advice?
Right.
And
Good
the
question.
answer might sooner than we think be like, just fuck off, people. Just fuck off.
Well, that's what we thought 10 years ago. So
Right, yeah.
That's why we had seasons, evidently, because Stu was like, we will fail miserably.
I didn't think we would fail. I didn't think we would fail. We actually got a really good jump in listenership right away because I exploited because the Poxy Boggards had a
Email list.
really good email list back
Yeah.
then. Email lists are terrible now
Yeah.
because everything goes to in Gmail, everything goes to the promotions folder.
Yeah.
But
Unless you're like me, and the first thing you did when they introduced folders was get rid of them.
can you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to now. I just ignore them. I only am in my
Well,
regular.
like, it kept resorting my work, like my call sheets into the promotions and updates folders, and I was like, need to know when I'm going to work tomorrow.
Yeah. And what about the backlog, Stu?
I don't know.
We're trying to figure that out right now.
Yes.
So, there's a lot. Like we said, 500 episodes plus all the APs plus all the other stuff. It's massive on the server.
Yes. And
So-
I'm not using any of those.
Yeah.
No,
So,
it's not that expensive to set up like an in-house server.
Ooh, if they found out if AT&T found out I was running a server,
Yeah, they'd
a web
be
server,
really
they would
upset.
like, oh, your internet is gone, and you were
Yeah.
never going to give it to
Oh,
me.
you
Never.
have AT&T. Never mind.
but yes, paid for by the Patreon.
Yep.
Yay, thank you for supporting
Yeah,
our
so,
Patreon.
so if you want the massive backlog to always be available, Happy Jacks has a Patreon.
We're going to find a way to do that.
I'll-
So,
Maybe I'll BitTorrent them. Put them up on.
oh, there you go. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Because I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop on the. Because
Yeah, we have
bandwidth
so
is going
much,
to
and our so many downloads, and like way over our agreement. We're just like, we won't say anything. It'll be
it's
fun.
technically unlimited, and I don't want to say
Technically,
anymore.
yeah,
I don't want to jinx it.
yeah. Well, also like our views have also changed greatly over the years. Not just our views on role playing games necessarily, but also. I don't know, for lack of a better way of describing it, like we're more woke now. Like
Yeah.
10 years ago, like there were a lot of things that I feel like we were much more. I mean, we were younger and dumber, and
And Oh yeah.
less informed about things.
Yep.
And I have gone back and listened to some old episodes and like kind of cringed at like, oh God, I said that thing. And it's not that we were intentionally being racist or, misogynistic or any of those things. But it's just like in 10 years, when you work at a thing for 10 years and you become more and more involved in the community, you become much more informed about the issues and much more like aware of things. And we have progressed to a point on this show that I think I'm really proud of where we are. I'm really proud of where we started, and I'm really proud of what we've learned since then. But there are definitely moments in like old episodes that I'm not super like proud of at this point.
And it is something to say that like it's not that we like I don't think they want to hide
No.
like the learning place or the process that people have gone through, but also how much is it to say like, okay, well, you have these episodes from 10 years ago when the equipment wasn't as good, and so
Yeah.
the audio quality kind of sucks, and people like we're still doing all this other stuff, and you listen to it, and it's like, is this the way you want to represent your brand?
And
or
drinking.
like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, we still do.
Get
No,
hammered.
there-
Oh no, we used to get
Yeah,
hammered.
there were some episodes where it was like,
Well, I vote to bring that back. Not really, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, when you move forward in like the advances in technology and the advances in equipment and everything, just in the last year, but like also like over the course of time, you listen to old episodes and you're like, is this really listenable?
yeah.
Is the quality of this good enough to continue to devote a limited amount of bandwidth to having it available? Like, sometimes it's not. Or is the quality of the advice good enough to continue to have people
You know what? The
listen to
quality
it?
of the advice is surprisingly consistent.
Yeah.
But the games we talk about, I mean,
Oh yeah.
we
we
probably
started with-
90% of the first season we're talking about 4th edition D&D.
Because that's all we.
I
That
mean,
was what we were
people
playing.
play a lot of 4E.
Right.
At least there's that.
Yeah.
At least there's that. But no, I don't mean to actually badmouth the quality of advice
No,
you're
no, no.
getting. But I'm just saying that like there are a lot of reasons why things like might not be available anymore, and it sucks like when you have long commutes and you like to listen to the entire backlog of somebody's podcast to make those 2.5 hours a day seem bearable. But at the same time, like stuff seems good now, and if it like dips below a certain quality level, like expect people to take that stuff down, especially as podcasting grows and grows
Oh, yeah.
as it has been.
Yeah, and well, in streaming too. Like our first streamed games. Oh my God, you go back.
The camera was way at the end of the table.
Yeah, like it was,
Oh, and it was just like one camera for everybody.
and we were just like munching. We had like full lunches and stuff
yeah.
that we were eating, and
It
people
was
are like,
it was part game, part buffet.
yeah,
I mean, we had that at the beginning of Traveler, let's be honest.
yeah, but it was
Not like
every,
this.
Yeah, not
it's like all kinds of food. Oh, let's order pizza.
yeah,
Oh,
it was like so
The
bad.
giant pizza roll.
oh yeah.
I'm just saying, that was in the last year.
Right.
It
but
was.
there also was a time where we had like a mechanic where people on Twitch could like buy dice for people, and it like really messed with the mechanics of the games. And while people who watched it live, it was like, oh, that's exciting, it adds interest to the game, it also really messed up the mechanics of a lot of the games. And people listening later were like, this isn't fun for us.
It's disruptive.
It's
it flows-
disruptive. It messes up the flow. It makes characters almost invulnerable. Like it really affected. Like I think it was the vampire game for a while before we took that out.
That vampire game
Yeah.
got ridiculous. It
Yeah.
was like every 3 or 4 minutes someone would donate, and I'd have to give someone bonus dice.
Yeah.
I could see where that would be.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I
disruptive.
liked the way they did it. I'm actually I'm listening to the Tales from the Loop.
The new one.
Insert coin. No,
Yeah.
the old
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah.
And people are buying Help a Player, like the
Yeah.
redos. I love that mechanic
Oh, yeah?
because, or the way it's instituted in that game.
Yeah.
Because Kadave had them roll like it incentivized him to have the players roll more, which I liked. Especially in a game like that, which can be basically like you could go an entire session not having any rolls.
Right.
Sure.
But then there were like, in part because people were buying rerolls for people, and Tales from the Loop already had a luck mechanic where you had a certain amount of luck that you could spend per session to do rerolls. So he used the Help a Player as an addition to your luck pool,
Oh, interesting.
which for like Samantha meant she had like unlimited luck, but you could only use luck once per roll. So it wasn't like she could constantly reroll stuff, but
Right.
that people like Jason's character had one luck. And because it incentivized him to A, have more rolls in the game, and B, the players to use their luck more, that it was a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting that way, that like there was a more randomized aspect to the game, because also that game was like hard to get successes in. I'm realizing like 6 episodes in. Because I guess you're rolling like it's got the World of Darkness type mechanic where you include stats, but I thought that they were rolling with d10s for the first 4 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Until somebody was like, I need better d6s. And I was like, holy shitballs.
Yeah.
Because you need a 6 to succeed.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, there's changes and improvements, and maybe at some point we'll put them on there with a disclaimer, like we do some of our old APs with like those roll mechanics, things like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good
questions,
And that's
though.
it. So yeah. Where's the...
So season 12, we're in season 25 now. So that was like our half age. Like that's like our...
No, his email was season 25, episode 12.
Oh, I'm
It was
sorry. you're
7
right.
episodes.
I'm sorry.
That
I
was
read
the
it
issue
backwards.
that I
It was 2
had, is
months
I
ago.
kept reading
Okay.
reading
months
it backwards because
Never
it
mind.
was the...
Episode first, and then
For
the
some of you, that
Yes.
might still be within memory. Not me.
I remember that.
I don't.
I'm pretty sure I listened to that episode,
only
but
got a- only got a week.
recently, within the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And then you also don't get the 3-hour episodes. And you think you want them.
You don't want them.
You don't want
don't want them.
You don't want them. Because when we've been sitting around in front of microphones drinking fairly heavily for 3 hours, we're incoherent. By the way.
Yeah, we're not. It's not a good episode. You think
No.
it's fun, but... Our,
Unlike on Sunday games where like we drink moderately for 3 hours.
Yes. Well, at least then we're also, like, gaming.
I mean,
Listenership has gone up drastically since we started, like, kind of limiting the time to, like, an hour to an hour and a half.
me and Tappy and Stork would go through a case of beer.
Yeah.
A show. Not a 12-pack, a case.
We've learned.
Wait, I was about to say, like, I thought a case was a 12-pack, but obviously I'm thinking bottles.
No, yeah. No.
24.
Yes.
We go through 24.
That is a lot of beer.
It's six
much.
each. Is that right? 6 each? 6 and 6 is 12.
It's the yes, but
8.
you just said 3 people, so that's 8. Math, we could do it.
8 and 16. Yeah, 8. That's 8
Yes.
beers. We had 8 beers
Yes.
in it to win it.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on another
Oh, no.
anthem. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just not doing it for me either.
not,
Now that he mentioned it, I was like, yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, no.
No.
It's really not.
It needs to be better.
It's not
The
as
other
fun.
one-
I need to hire an orchestra
We need
to actually record it.
Yeah, we need to find, like, a way... Go ahead.
I need an elementary school.
No, this is what we talked about before.
I mean, you are a 4th grade teacher, except your band leader, your band teacher
she's-
sucks.
Yeah, she's not going to be up for doing that. And Yeah.
Listeners, if you would like us to hire a bunch of children,
Patreon.
If any of you are
donate to the Patreon.
are band leaders,
Yes.
and you have an orchestra, and it doesn't even have to be a good recording,
No.
And it doesn't have to be elementary school. Too.
Yeah.
and make it the Russian national anthem. Have your students learn the Russian
Good,
national
yeah.
anthem. I'm sure no one will
It'll
object.
be great.
Not this administration.
And then after that, send it to me, and then I'll put the old lyrics back on it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. But we hear you. I love you.
Or we go with a completely different anthem.
No, I like the old one.
The old Russian one.
I know,
so
but like,
good.
I mean, 25, 10 years, 25 seasons, just about ending with the start of a new decade.
But
like,
you tried a new
I
anthem.
feel like just because you chose poorly last time,
It was a good. It was
The
a good.
lyrics
the
are good.
lyrics are good, and it's no. Soviet national anthem is fantastic music.
It really
It's
is.
fantastic.
Yeah.
there are
music.
so many.
I know there are.
That, like, I'm just saying,
But I
like,
gotta-
if you feel like there is another anthem that would be awesome and you have access to a band,
That's the important part
Yeah.
because people are copywriting shit. You shouldn't be able to copyright, in my
and
opinion.
and so I'm just saying, open up the playing field just a little.
Okay.
Or if you post like a click track with some basic like chords and just have people send in their instrument, whatever they play, banjo,
And then you mix it together?
and
All in the same key, please. Mostly.
well, yeah, if you
Mostly.
post it, like,
Right.
and then people can do it on recorder or clarinet or flute or guitar.
Viola.
Yeah, like it could be a true anthem of the Happy Jacks community.
Yes.
And it'll be a clusterfuck and glorious in all of its.
That would be so amazing.
Oh, and then we
Yes.
can have people.
Yes.
They can have people sing the choir part too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, fuck the Soviet national anthem where we can make our own anthem crowdsourced from the Happy Jack
Oh.
listeners.
Yeah, the real Great Worm and I thought the exact same thing at the same time. So excellent. Yes, see, it's a great idea.
Excellent. All right.
Oh my god, I'm so excited about this.
This is gonna be so bad and so good at the
I've
same
learned.
time.
I can play accordion. I haven't played accordion in like 8 years. It'll be great.
I haven't played the recorder since like 6. I mean, don't actually own a recorder anymore. No one has to worry about
I
that.
have recorders.
Yeah, we've had enough.
I got a lot of recorders.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for season 25, episode 19 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
I'm Pooja.
And we'll see you next time.
Yes.
No, I will not see you next time. Jason will be here.
For the host will drink and yammer on till no emails remain. Oh, Happy Jacks, our patron saint of the skillful game master. Oh, guide us well with yes ending to avert a disaster. Whether fate or GURPS or millions of apocalyptic acts, fellow listeners and every host will always have our backs. Unless you're playing D&D and then they'll give you crap. We're out of time and out of space, lamenting for the human race. A cataclysmic crisis from the past. A small blue world, thunder-torn, an apocalyptic nightmare born, and mankind better learn to cope with it fast. Watch the glittering protectors rise! Inhuman foes meet your demise! And boom, boom, boom! Your end is nigh! Another night, another fight. We battle by the glowing light of fallen foes in funeral pyres ablaze. No quarter shall we give our foe, and neither will they, and this we know, as kinetic flares flash upon our display. Watch the glittering protectors rise! Inhuman foes meet your demise! And boom, boom, boom! Your end is nigh!
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Why problem make when you no problem have you don't want to make?